Welcome, comic book community. This is R Wheatley 0206, and it's time for another comic book artist spotlight video. This is episode number 2 of this new series, and tonight we're going to be focusing on my favorite artist, Neal Adams. And Neal Adams has been doing this for many years. Neal Adams was born in on June 15th of 1941, and he got into comics in 1960, and he's worked for all the major comic book producers: Marvel, DC. He worked for Archie Comics early on, and he's worked for some of the independents. He's done some Grimm fairy tales. He's done a little bit of everything. There's actually a list online that shows, and I mean it's a huge list, showing all the different companies that he's worked for, all the different books that he's worked on. But one of the things Neal Adams is most renowned for is his work with DC Comics on Batman and Green Lantern. In fact, Neal Adams is considered the man who brought Batman back into comics. So from what Neal Adams has said in interviews, it was getting to the end of the 66 Batman TV series, and DC was like, what do we do with him now? Because the comic books during that era of the TV series were very campy, just like the TV show. So Neal Adams wanted to bring Batman back to his darker self, more like what Bob Kane did with him originally. And Neal Adams' art is, in my opinion, much superior to anybody who had been doing Batman up to that point. And Neal Adams wanted to bring reality back into Batman. So, of course, since I'm most familiar with Batman as far as his work and other DC products, that's mostly what I'll talk about. But I do have some Marvel comics that I'll show you. I think I have a Grimm fairy tales in there that he did recently. So, and the thing is, Neal Adams, started doing comics in the 60s. He's still doing comics today. So, in fact, there's a new one coming out, I think in September, that he's doing, and I can't remember the name of it now, but I pre-ordered it. So anyway, I'll show you that when I get it. But so just a little more background. His first Batman comic, as far as doing the Batman comic book series, was Batman 200, which is this one right here from 1968. So this was his first Batman cover. Now, his first detective comic I don't have, but it was Detective Comics number 385. Detective Comics 385 was his first detective comic. So, and then he did Batman Detective, and actually I think before he did Batman, he actually done Brave and the Bold beforehand. And I'll give you different examples because I do want to try to familiarize you guys with his art style and so on, and with his signature, because I do have some signed books, and his signature, like Art Germ, is very distinctive as well. Now this book here is a newer book. I think this one's from 2015, and this is Star Trek and Green Lantern. And you can see that Neal Adams puts a lot of emphasis on emotion in their facial expressions. So, like I said, he is acclaimed for bringing reality more or less back into comic books. Here is an Avengers world. This is number 6. I'm not sure what year this is, but I don't think it's all that old. This is Avengers World. And if you'll notice, the facial structures and so on, and look at how he does the hands, how he puts the knuckles in, and he draws hands very realistically, and the face structure. Those are things to look for a Neal Adams comic, and also just the poses that he puts them in, and the way the cape flows, and so on. So that's one of the Marvel comics. And here's an older one. It's not real old, but before I show you this though, one of the things that happened after the Batman TV series, when Neal Adams, Adam West, I started to say Adam West, when Neal Adams started doing Batman, he teamed up with Denny O'Neil, which was the writer, and they had basically the same concept of what they wanted to do with Batman, as far as taking him back to his original, maybe not fully original, but back to what the character was meant to be. And so him and Denny O'Neil worked on Green Lantern as well. So he worked on Batman, Green Lantern. I'm not sure what all other books that he worked on. I think they did some Brave and the Bold and maybe some World's Finest together. But they did a lot of work together back in the late 60s, early 70s. Now here's a Green Lantern and Green Arrow number 6. Trying to keep the glare off this, but it's not working very well. Oh, there, that's better. Okay. This is one of my favorites. Superman number 317. And see the definition in the way he makes the fists, the expression on the face, the raised eyebrows, the open mouth, showing the teeth, and the pronunciation of the muscles and everything. And the eyes, the way you can see motion in the eyes. Dead Man, this is number 1. And this is one of them. Well, actually a few of these that I've showed you already are some that he did homage covers for during Neal Adams Month back in 2016, which I've talked about on several occasions. Another one of my favorite Neal Adams books, Batman 244. You can see kind of the agony in Batman's face. And here's Action Comics number 419. This is a very sought after cover by Neal Adams. If I could get the glare off of that. There we go, that's better. Now you can see it better. And like I said, Neal Adams has worked on so many different comic books, I can't even keep track. He's done House of Mystery, he's done Batman, he's done Superman, he's done Superboy, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Flash, X-Men, Avengers World. I think he did do Avengers as well, a newer book. Some of his earlier comics in DC, there was one war comic that he did. I can see the cover because it has a Jeep on the front of it, but I can't remember the name of the book. I don't have it, so. But yeah, he did a lot of House of Mysteries, House of Secrets. Here's an example of a House of Mystery cover. You can see the terror on the boy's face. Now this one here has a good example of his signature, so I'm going to try to get a close-up of that so you can see it. But I do have other books that actually has his actual signature on it that I've had him sign. So this is the Dark Side War Special #1. With an awesome Wonder Woman cover and Superman. Now, this book here has Neal Adams' signature. I hope I can get this to focus on his signature. There we go. Okay. All right. This is definitely a newer book. Well, this is one of them from Neal Adams month. So, now here is an older Flash. There we go. And you'll notice on a lot of his covers, he draws a lot of people in the background, and you'll see that quite often in his covers. This one's not in the greatest shape, but it's complete, so that's a plus. This is Detective Comics number 437. This is Batman and Robin number 239. Batman with a Santa Claus beard and sack. Very cool cover. I love this cover. Now, this one here is Batman Odyssey number 4. Here is Neal Adams' signature on this book. Get it where you can see it well. Very distinctive the way he signs his books. And again, you know, showing the teeth and the expression on the face. Oh, and this one also has a certificate of authenticity and a picture of him actually signing this book. Which is really cool to have. This one's Superman, The Coming of the Supermen number 6. He did this entire series, 1 through 6. And you can see over, nope, wrong way. His signature down at the bottom of that one. And here's an example of the world's finest. This is number 175. Lex Luthor and Batman. Now this one is, I don't see a date on it, but it's fairly new. It's probably less than a year old. And this is Grim Fairy Tales number 100. Okay. And the last one I'm going to show is a really recent one. This is Batman Who Laughs #1. And this is an homage to Batman 251, which you have seen me show on several occasions. So I didn't think I would show that one this time. But I'll show this one instead. Alright. So that gives you an idea of what to look for in Neal Adams comics. And just remember, Neal Adams doesn't just do covers. He is a cover artist, he's an inker, he's a penciler, he's a writer. He has done stories. The Batman Odyssey books are actually his stories as well. And he's done others. And Neal Adams also owns Continuity Comics. Couldn't remember the name of it for a minute. He owns Continuity Comics, or Continuity Studios, and online you can go to Continuity Studios or Continuity Comics online and see a lot of his work. Now I've showed you stuff that he's done, like Megalith from Continuity Comics. These are comic books that he has put out, so there's several different ones that he's done. So like I said, he's done pretty much everything in comic books, from doing the art, the penciling, the coloring, to writing stories, and so on and so forth. So I think that's pretty much it for what I wanted to say about Neal Adams tonight. If you have any questions about Neal Adams, I'm sure there's stuff that I'm not thinking of right now. But if you have any questions, I do kind of keep up on Neal Adams somewhat. He's going to be in Indianapolis the 30th. Yeah, the weekend of the 30th of August. So I intend to go there and get some books signed, I hope. And, you know, I've had a lot of people say that they had bad experiences meeting him, and that he wasn't real nice to them, and so on and so forth. And I don't know, maybe there's reasons for that. Maybe he was having a bad day or whatever. All I know is when I met Neal Adams, he was a perfect gentleman. He was quite friendly, joyful. We were laughing and talking about things, I had a great experience with Neal Adams, but I do know that there's been other people who didn't. And I don't know if it was, I don't necessarily think it's, some artists are just jerks to everybody. And I don't think that of Neal Adams, because my experience with him has been very pleasant and very positive. So not only do I love his work, I love talking to him and getting books signed and so on. And he's a very generous individual. And, trying to think of seems like there was something else I wanted to say about Neal Adams, but I can't think of what it is right now. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I haven't decided yet who I'm going to do next, but oh, there was one other thing. Carmine Infantino was doing Batman on up to book 199, and Neal Adams took over for Carmine Infantino on book 200. So Carmine Infantino is another artist that I plan on doing a video on. I don't know if that'll be the next one or if it'll be later on or what, but if you have any suggestions on artists that you would like to know more about, please leave a comment in this video, and if I don't already have them on the list, I'll put them on the list. So I know Grayman, just a few days ago, he asked me if I was going to do a video on Tom Mandrake, and I didn't have him on the list, but I said, well, yeah, I'd like to, because I know he did some Batman work, so but I know he's done a lot of other really good work. But I know I've got some books of his, that some Batman books that has his art, but I think I have other things as well. And when I show these books, I know there's a lot of DC guys, and I know there's a lot of Marvel guys. So I try to show a little bit of both. But to be quite honest, I mostly have DC. But especially of people like Neal Adams. Now, Art Germ, you know, I'm getting, you know, several different companies with him. You know, I've got some independents, I've got Marvel, I've got DC. But people like Neal Adams, I mostly, especially since I have mostly older comic books, and a lot of them are, you know, are not real recent purchases. A lot of them I've had for many years because I just collected Neal Adams Batman stuff a lot for many years. And so that's why I have more of that to show than I do of other things. But I did want to give you a variety to give you an idea of how he does different characters. So with that, I'm going to let everybody go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like. If you're not subscribed to this channel, I'd appreciate you subbing me up and then hitting the bell so that you get notifications whenever I put up a new video. So that will conclude this week's comic book artist spotlight, episode number 2. So episode number 3 will come out next Wednesday, and I don't know who it's going to be yet, but you'll find out. All right, so everybody have a great night, and we'll see you all next video.